The thirsty crow. It was a hot summer's day. A thirsty crow flew into a village searching for some water to drink. After a long time,
I think there is a pot of water.
Under one of the trees on the farm was a pot of water. The crow saw that there was very little water in the pot. The crow looked around. He saw some pebbles. An idea struck his mind.
I can use these pebbles to bring the water up.
He picked up the pebbles one by one and dropped them into the pot. As he dropped the pebbles into the pot, the water came up. Soon it was high enough for him to drink. He drank the water.
That was great.
He flew away happily. Moral: think and work hard. You may find solution to any problem. Once upon a time, in a beautiful forest, there were an ant and a grasshopper, good friends. It was the time of summer, and the grasshopper was enjoying the fine weather and playing all day. He was dancing, swimming and singing. Meanwhile, the ant and her family were working very hard every day to collect food for winter. He saw her friend ant and asked her,
"My friend, what are you doing in this fine weather?"
The ant said, "I was gathering some food and was building a shelter for winter." The grasshopper laughed and teased her.
"This is spring now, it's the time to enjoy."
But the ant ignored him and go to work. A few days later, winter came, and it started snowing. The whole jungle is covered in snow. There was no food available anywhere. So the helpless grasshopper came to the ant's shelter and pleaded,
"Oh dear ant, please give me shelter and something to eat."
The ant replied, "I'm sorry my friend, but my food is just enough for my family to last until the end of winter. If I give you more, we too will starve. We had the entire summer to prepare for the winter, but you chose to play instead." The grasshopper was very upset when the ant offered him some food. Now, the grasshopper had understood why the ant was working so hard in the summer. The grasshopper had realized the value of hard work. Moral: it is important to use your time well and add meaning to your life.
Mouse. Once upon a time, there lived a lion and a mouse in the jungle. One day, the mouse came across the sleeping lion. Roused from his nap, the angry lion caught the tiny creature between his huge paws. The lion roared,
"Who dares disturb my sleep?"
"Please let me go. Someday I will surely repay you,"
begged the poor mouse. The lion was very amused that a tiny mouse could ever be of help to him. The lion roared in laughter and was so entertained that he decided to let the tiny mouse go. A few days later, the mouse was walking by when he heard the lion in misery. The lion had been caught in a hunter's nest. When he saw the mouse, he cried,
Please help me.
The mouse quickly gnawed through the rope and set the lion free. The lion was overjoyed and thanked the mouse for this kindness. They became good friends. Moral of the story: an act of kindness is never wasted. The Lion and the Mouse.
The Rabbit and the Tortoise. Once upon a time, a rabbit named Woody lived in a forest with his friends. Woody would always gloat about how fast he could run to his friends. He was laughing at his friend, Mac, the tortoise, for being so slow.
Do you ever get anywhere on time?
He asked with a mocking laugh.
Yes.
Replied Mac.
I'll race you to prove it.
Woody was amused by the idea of competing in a race with Mac, but he agreed. The umpire for the race was Michael, a fox. And the race begins.
Ready. Get set. Go.
Woody raced way ahead of Mac, like everyone thought. He reached halfway and could not see Mac anywhere. He decided to take a short nap. If Mac passed him, he would be able to race to the finish line ahead of him. All this time, Mac kept walking, step by step. He never quit, no matter how hot or tired he got. He kept going. Woody slept longer than he expected. When he woke up, he could not see Mac anywhere. He rushed to the finish line and found Mac waiting for him. Woody had lost the race. Moral of the story: slow and steady wins the race. The Sinbad the Sailor. Once upon a time, in Baghdad, Sinbad the Sailor began telling the story of his voyages to Sinbad the Hamal. On the second day of this storytelling, he made sure his guests were well fed first. He began.
After I returned, I regained all my wealth and luxuries I had before my voyage. But after a point, I was not happy with my life and missed the sea and its breeze. So, I decided to go on another voyage. We left for Basara, the land where all things come together. Eventually, we came to a beautiful island. After the captain threw the anchor, all the sailors and passengers left to feel the golden sand of the beach. We set up tents and cooked our meals there. Suddenly the captain rang the bell and asked us to run for our lives. The ground below us began to shake. I saw something rise. It's a whale, I screamed. I saw many sailors sucked in by the whirlpool. I tried to rescue them, but I couldn't. With great difficulty, I swam away. I found a barrel and held onto it tightly. I was tired, and I fell asleep on the barrel. The next morning, I woke up and found myself on a strange land. I thought of surveying the island. I would surely find something. I climbed up a tall tree and looked as far as I could see. I saw a strange-looking dome, and ran to inspect it closely. I reached the dome and tried to find a door. But I realized, more than a dome, it looked like an eggshell. I gave up and sat beside it. Towards the evening, the sky became dark and a giant bird was descending towards the egg. I decided to tie myself to the bird's claw because I was willing to do anything to get away from that island. But that decision proved to be one of the worst decisions. When the bird flew the next day, it took me to a place with caves, no trees. I untied myself. On either side of the walls of the cave were serpents that could eat an elephant in one gulp. Luckily, I was able to stay away from their mouth. Suddenly, I found huge pieces of meat falling from the sky. I remembered a tale where merchants would throw meat into a valley, fabled to be the richest valley, because they thought diamonds would stick to them. Then they would wait for the bird to pick them up and net them to its nest. I filled my pockets with diamonds and tied myself to a piece of meat. Then I lay down and waited for the bird. A bird picked me up and took me to its nest. Then I waited for the other merchants to come and scare the bird away. The merchants were surprised to see me, but I promised to share my riches with them. Then we climbed down the tree and came to a clearing, where I told them of my adventures. They returned me safely to Baghdad on their ship. I promised myself never to sail in the sea again, but if only I kept my promise.
Sinbad the Sailor gave Sinbad the Hamel 100 gold pieces and invited him to come again the next day for another story. Moral of the story: believe in your strength, good luck and fortune, and it will save you from your struggles and hardships. The Magic Lamp. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Aladdin, who lived far in the east. He lived with his mother and supported her by selling fruits in the market. One day, the palace magician came to the market looking for him.
"Come with me, Aladdin. I have something to show you,"
he said. Aladdin went with him. The magician led him deep into the desert, to the mouth of a massive cave which was blocked by a huge rock. The magician stopped and began to cast a spell,
Sala Sala Paprika. Ilabra.
and the massive rock moved. The magician said,
"Go into the cave and bring me golden lamp. Touch nothing but the lamp. Take this ring, it will protect you if anything goes wrong."
The magician was afraid to go inside due to the dark passage. Aladdin went into the cave that was overflowing with gems and gold coins. He found the lamp and thought,
Why does the magician want something so old and worthless? I should take one for my mother as well.
the moment Aladdin snatched the treasure, the whole cave began to shake and rumble. He took the lamp and ran to the mouth of the cave. The magician refused to help him and wanted the lamp first. Meanwhile, the opening closed. Aladdin was left alone and he cried.
It is so cold and dark here. I want my mother.
He mindlessly rubbed the lamp he was holding and it suddenly began to glow. A genie appeared and took him home. Aladdin told his mother about the magician and the adventure and said,
Mother, take a look at this magic lamp.
His mother rubbed it and the genie appeared. He asked them for a wish. Aladdin commanded him for some delicious food like the palace, and within a moment, tasty dishes appeared before him. The genie's magic made Aladdin wealthy, and one day he went to the Sultan with magnificent gifts.
Your Majesty, I have come to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage.
He asked. The Sultan was pleased but the daughter was not. He asked Genie to help him and took the Sultan's daughter on a ride through the sky and they had a wonderful time. Meanwhile, the magician realized Aladdin had the magic lamp and asked the Sultan to ask Aladdin to raise a new palace. The princess opened her heart to Aladdin as she was touched by his kindness and the beauty he showed her. As soon as they returned, Sultan asked Aladdin to build a new palace. Aladdin asked the genie to build him a palace. And within a moment, a beautiful palace stood in front of him. Aladdin was now able to marry the princess. One day, the magician came to Aladdin's house while he was out hunting. He said to the princess, disguised as a merchant.
I can exchange an old lamp with the new one.
The princess exchanged the magic lamp for a new one and the magician's plan worked. The magician wanted Aladdin's palace and the princess for himself, and asked the genie to move them both to a far-off desert. Aladdin was surprised to find everything vanished. When he returned, finally he heard about the magician's plan and went to his palace. The princess found Aladdin and told him everything. They slipped a sleeping pill into the magician's wine. As soon as the magician drifted to sleep, Aladdin rubbed the lamp and asked the genie to return his palace to its place with the princess. They left the magician in the desert, who was never heard from again. One day, Aladdin brought the lamp to the shore and rubbed it. The genie asked,
What is your wish?
Aladdin replied,
You have granted all my wishes. I want to repay you and set you free.
The genie cried,
In all my days as a servant, no one has ever wished anything for me.
The genie was free and Aladdin tossed the lamp into the sea. He lived his life with love and happiness, without any greed. Moral of the story: do not be greedy, and live your life bring true to yourself.